Lots of our visitors come year after year, and they want to get to know the island, they want to build a connection with people. And if the language helps deepen that connection and make it a stronger connection, then all the better. I think they want to understand those things and want to get to know the people that they meet. And I think in the Outer Islands we're lucky that still half the people speak Gaelic, somewhere between half and 2/3 on every island speak Gaelic. So they can experience it real. It's not something that's historical. It's actually connecting with everyday life.
What's been quite tricky is getting the right phrases in the right context, and then also getting something that maybe isn't really extendedly written because it needs to be able to fit within a certain space. So that's kind of like what we need is help on that.
Right, okay, so where have you gone to then to get, what resources have you used then to find what these phrases are and what words?
So Richard, I probably need you to help on this one.
Yes.
You did go to some of the websites that we've suggested.
Yes, yeah, the ones
Learn Gaelic.
Yes, yeah, Learn Gaelic, and then there was the other one which was like a Gaelic dictionary.
Which might have been
Fachlabake, yeah, which is great because it also does some audio on there as well, which you need because otherwise you've got no Scooby how to say it.
The problem is, of course, to both Rob and Ayla, you'll know this, is depending on where you live, you probably pronounce Gaelic in very different ways. A Leosach would say it very different to someone from Glasgow or from Harris. So how does someone like Caroline figure out what the right way to say it is, or should we not get too hung up on that?
Yeah, I suppose it depends. I think we're always scared of being wrong in Gaelic because it's a minority language, and I think people feel like they really need to protect it. And I suppose when you're printing something, you want it to be as right as possible. I suppose it depends on whether you want to really localise it. So if you wanted to try something from kind of the Fort Augustus Loch Ness area, you'd have to maybe go to Dask or dask.ac.uk.
Who's that? What's that?
So that's a digital archive of Scottish Gaelic. So I work for them on the audio archive, but they also have a Fachlan von Plug, which is a collection of kind of word lists that people have gone out and found in fieldwork, spoken to people. So there's lots from kind of very localised areas. Different villages have different words for things, even in Harris or so. It depends how local you want to go or how general you want to be, but there's lots of resources out there. It's just knowing about them.
Which one to use for your business?
Yeah.
We just put some new information points out, and we've just put it in both languages, so people can see the English next to it. So therefore they can self-translate. The people running the points don't have to speak Gaelic. They know that, I'll try and pick one, but feels the clock is information because the two words are next to each other. So I'll probably just finish out of that.
No, it's fine.
But so you can see those things. So there are tricks around those things. I think the colloquialism, the more colloquialism you can bring into it. In that one, we actually had an issue. We have a board outside that says "come in," and actually that varies. Well, Higastach in Lewis, but then as you go down, it becomes Higastai. So we actually had to get the poor guy doing the boards to change them as we went down the islands. And but it's a way of engaging people. Even that actually is engaging people. And if we get it wrong, if there's one thing, and sometimes in some of the islands there's a couple of things. We were in Eriskay. And one of the people, I was like, how do you spell Eriskay? And there's all sorts of spellings of Eriskay, even in the island. I had one person, and we were walking around the island looking at them all. And there are lots of things. So it's not, there's no real answer. It can actually be part of you can make it part of the story. Yeah.
What do you see as the business case in the Outer Hebrides of using the language in tourism?
I think, the word that's on the street in tourism at the moment is about authenticity.
Absolutely.
And it's an overused word, but we are a destination that has authenticity by the bucket load, and that's really the situation. So, the tourist industry in some ways has gone from where you wanted to go somewhere the same as where you were the rest of the year to somewhere where people really want somewhere different. And this is a difference, and it gives us a different story to tell, one that helps us stand out more. So it makes it easier to build profile, just makes it stand out more, makes it more memorable in people's experiences. It makes the story richer. And particularly, it is Gaelic in our case, but whichever the dialect is, they're all rich storytelling languages and cultures, they are verbal language, like the verbal heritage that they have. So the storytelling in them is great. So the more you can dig into them and understand some of those stories, I think the language is a vehicle to doing some stuff. But if all you're doing is replicating a classroom environment, that's going to come across. What you actually want is some of the enjoyment and the richness of the history to come through through those things, and then pass that passion on to the people.
You know, if you're struggling to find stories, you know, pertaining to your local area, or if you can't find a storyteller, or again, the Dask website has an audio archive full of kind of Scottish stories, and they're told both in English and in Gaelic. They are originally Gaelic, I think, but they're translated in English because the field worker didn't speak Gaelic. But kind of how places got their name and the story behind that, and again, you know, talking about kind of local legends and things like that as well. So there are resources out there, even if you don't know somebody who has all these stories.
You don't have to get really into the genitive and the spelling and the structure and lenition and all those things. It's the spirit of the language, I think. The more you can keep it into the spirit of the language. Interestingly, I don't know if you had the same thing, but sometimes the further people come on the visit, the more engaged they are and the more interested they are. We found non-Anglophone visitors are quite often more intrigued in Gaelic because they're already speaking a foreign language, so they want to learn about another one.
That does seem to be true. We've heard a few people saying that,
particularly Germanic.
They're already bilingual. They're interested.
They're interested. And particularly Germanic, it sits easier with the Germans, and some of the stuff that English speakers find difficult, the Germans find more logical around those things. So,
Sorry, excuse me.
Throw the verb to the end every now and then.
Yeah.
I think they're into those things. I think it is a great way of, particularly for cruise passengers, they have a limited amount of time. It is a way of building distinctiveness and giving them something special. They are in a different place, and you want something that really makes a difference with them and is unique to you, to your location. Sorley McLean on the £5 note.
True.
Which is always the people are carrying Gaelic around in the pocket.
Yeah.
All the time. I walked out on the ocean with my conscience.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the beginning of one of his
yeah.
most famous. It's a beautiful poem, and actually you could introduce the poem based on that. But it's just the first two lines.
It's just making
beautiful
them
in English
realise
and
that Gaelic is in their everyday life and in the language that they're using anyway. They just don't know it yet.
And in Scots as well.